Mic check. Let me know if you hear us in the chat. Awesome. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, our mics are on.
Jen, all those gifted subs, thank you very much. Lisa as well. Back out at these two.
See, D. Souter is sub for something like 37 months.
It's crazy. Happy late birthday to Jen and Lisa. Morgan from CJ Woolley. Can you make my mic a little louder? Thank you. Hello, hello. Or my head. I didn't know if my mic or my headphones need to be louder, actually. It's just different than normal. Got a little bit of a different setup today. Why is the background? Okay, 30 seconds till we are live.
Omar can hear us, yes.
Okay. But no one can hear him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not yet, at
Not
least.
yet. Not.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to the Carla Marie and Anthony Show. My name is Anthony.
I'm Carla Marie.
And we have a very busy show today. So if I look like I'm a little frantic and I'm looking to the left and to the right, there's a lot of things that I am currently monitoring.
Yes.
But we first off, before we get into any of our guests today, which we're going to have 3 of, we do still have our trip to Costa Rica available.
Yes.
So also we're sitting very close for a normal scene, but this looks a little silly. I'll explain in a second. If you are interested in joining us in Costa Rica next spring, it'll be the last week of March into the first week of April. That trip is available. The early bird special is there's still some spots there,
Yes.
which saves you $200 on the entire journey.
Yes.
So you want to explain some of it, Carla Marie?
All you need to do right now is put down a 25% deposit, which is really nice. You don't have to pay for the trip in full. I don't think that's due until like a month or so
Yeah,
out.
and you can pay however you want along the way. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
pay $30 a week if you want.
But we are doing a lot of Costa Rica. It's not like a resort. We're not just going to sit on a beach, but we wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be one of those trips where you see us traveling and we're doing all these crazy things. And we don't want people to be intimidated by that. So, yes, there will be, like, hikes, but nothing crazy. We're going to explore. We're not just going to go lay on a beach.
Yes. Now, speaking of exploration and traveling.
Yeah, Costa Rica sounds...
We are going to have to ask this man a lot of travel questions. So one of my favorite people to follow in the world on Instagram is this gentleman we are about to introduce you to. His name is Omar. Omar, welcome to the Carla Marie and Anthony Show.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and what kind words. Thank you very much.
And Omar, you've been traveling now for how many days? Is it 125 now? What's the number we're at?
Currently, it's 131 on this journey.
131. And I think I found you. You came across my Explore page, I think around day 98. It still wasn't in the hundreds yet when I came across your page. And what you're doing is traveling from Egypt to Japan, right? But you're not flying at all.
No fun.
And you're
Like,
really you're not trying to go direct either. You're trying to see as many places in Asia as you can before you get there.
yes, exactly. So that's the whole point of not flying. It's to see as many places
Cool.
as I can on the way. That's why I came up with the no flying bit.
So right
So yeah,
now,
zigzagging as much as I can.
where are you right now?
Kazakhstan in the
And-
capital.
And it's 8 p.m.
It's 8 p.m. Yes, 12-hour difference with you.
The crazy thing
I
is
love
here
it.
in America, I think people don't know that Kazakhstan is a real place. I think they just think it's something that Borat
Yeah.
made
They
up
know
for the
Borat,
movies. What has been your path so far? Take us through the countries in order if you can, if you even remember.
No, of course. So I started in my hometown, Cairo, made my way to the Red Sea, took a ferry across to Saudi Arabia, then crossed Saudi Arabia, usually buses most of the time. Got into the Emirates, so Dubai, Abu Dhabi. Was a bit not stranded, but waited there for about 10 days for the ferry to cross to Iran from there. From
Jeez.
the Emirates. Then I spent about 5-6 weeks in Iran. Really incredible. It deserves a bit more even. Then I crossed to Afghanistan, spent 2 weeks there. Then a little transit in Tajikistan because of border issues. It was like a transit stop, Tajikistan. Then I spent about 2-3 weeks in Uzbekistan, and now I think 1 week more or less in Kazakhstan.
Wow.
Now, there's only been like 1 or 2 times where you've had trouble getting across a border, correct?
On this journey, yes, 2 times, yes.
So what were
2
those
times.
like?
So Turkmenistan just refused me completely. I didn't even get the chance to try.
Wow.
I went to the
Yeah.
embassy.
Yeah, okay, explain how that
No,
happens.
I was in Iran, and it was my planned next stop after Iran. So while in Iran, I went to the Turkmenistan embassy. There was no one there. It was basically a shut down building kind of thing. And you're
Wow.
on the outside of the building, and you knock on a window. And after knocking for about half an hour, a guy opens up and says, "Hey, what do you want?" And I'm like, "I want to visit your country, please." And they said, "We don't do transit visas." That's the one I was after. This kind of visa they did before COVID. Now they don't do it anymore.
Okay.
Now it's a tourist visa. You have to be on an organized tour.
Oh, wow.
Basically, holding your hand. You cannot leave their site. It's kind of like the North Korea of Central Asia in a bit.
Interesting. These are places that, you see on a map, but you don't really hear a lot about them. Especially from the American perspective here.
Now, what point of this journey were you like, this was probably not the best idea? Maybe I'm going to stop and go home.
Funnily enough, it's the first day.
What happened?
Really, just the idea of leaving home. I've done it before, and I went on a long trip before. I traveled for a year in Latin America, so I'm used to traveling for long periods of time. But even then, just the commitment of getting all the way to Japan. Before there was more freedom to it. I had more freedom. In 2-3 months, I can change my mind, do whatever.
Okay.
But now there's commitment to go all the way without flying.
Yeah.
And in areas where not only from an American perspective, as you were saying, I also did not know much about these countries or in that region. I didn't know what to expect, how I would, what I would see.
And
So a lot of opportunities.
I
So,
guess
yeah.
when you tell people like I'm going to Japan, you
You
can't
have to.
change that plan, right? It's not I'm just gonna wander
No.
through Asia. You now have a finish line that you've promised people.
That's what I mean. It's commitment.
What has been the most surprising place that you've seen so far on your trip, where maybe you didn't expect to have a good experience and you had a much better one than planned?
I would say maybe Iran. I actually had I had high expectations in terms of hospitality
Mhm.
because everyone I talked with that had traveled to Iran previously tells me great things about the hospitality. And even with those high expectations, it far exceeded them. I just
Really?
couldn't believe them.
What was
Like
it?
I
What
arrived,
was it about Iran?
it's first day in the country, and by first day I mean first night. The ferry arrived maybe around midnight. By the time we cleared customs and immigration, it was 1-2 a.m. I didn't have a place to sleep. I didn't have the local currency. I didn't have internet. And I was like, okay, what now?
Man.
And I look around me on the street, and this guy comes up to me. He sees I'm with a backpack. I'm looking around kind of. And he comes up to me, chats with me. Hey, how are you? Where are you from? And then this is 1, 2 a.m. Mind you, on the street. He takes me with him in his car, and he says, "I'm gonna drive you to accommodation or a hotel. I'm gonna help you."
What?
But with
Or
I
you
had-
just got kidnapped.
Yeah. Is there any level of fear as you're doing this too?
I think I have a good feeling when it comes to
Okay.
people. I trust my instincts, and so far they've served me well over time. So I just follow them. I had good instincts about this guy, so I just got in the car. And while he's driving me to the hotel, he actually midway tells me, "Actually, no, why don't you come to my place? I'll invite my brother, I'll invite my friend, and we're gonna make a night out of it." So just that was the first few hours in Iran.
That's
And
crazy.
especially after everything you hear in the media, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, I know a lot about the Middle Eastern language, or Middle Eastern languages, I should say. So, did your Egyptian Arabic help you when you got to Iran, or were you still using a translator? Because I know, like, if I went to Egypt right now, I would be screwed. I can't speak Egyptian. I only speak Arabic from, the Levant, like Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan. So I'd be screwed if I
If
went
you
to.
can,
What was that?
if you can, if you can speak some Arabic, the other versions you can kind of get along a little bit.
Okay, and did that help you in Iran?
Fully understand you. It did not help in Iran. In Iran, they speak Persian.
Yeah.
They write with the same letters, but it's a whole different language, and it absolutely did not help.
So that would
Since
be like
Iran,
that would be like an American going to a Spanish-speaking country where the alphabet looks similar, but the digits are all different. The letters are all different.
exactly. Sometimes you might recognize a word while reading it because it's similar writing. But other than that, speaking with people, it doesn't help at all. So yeah, Google Translate for the win there.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
That's cool that you can use that.
Yeah, because that's what I'm going to use when I go to Japan in about 2 weeks. I'm going to use Google Translate for a lot. Now, for people who do want to travel, right, and go to places where maybe they don't speak the language or maybe they don't know anyone, what's your like app toolkit? What do you use in every country mostly?
The two most useful things I have with me are Google Maps, but the offline version. So I download the offline map of the place I'm going to before I go, and the offline version of Google Translate.
Oh, I didn't know there was an offline.
Yeah, you have to download
So
the dictionary basically.
You download the language you want to use. So it's not for all languages. You download the specific language pairing that you would like to use.
Okay. Have you been like making sure your phone is always charged? Like things like that we almost take for granted when we're just, hopping on a plane or going somewhere. Like you have no idea what's next when you do a lot of these trips.
Not really, no. And I don't mind it. I don't. There has been so much uncertainty that I got used to it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No.
I'm just in that flow now that it's okay that I don't know. And at first, like I said, first day was scary of the whole journey. That was really scary.
Wow.
And bit by bit, just gotten used to the flow and have a power bank that helps with the phone thing.
Of course, yeah.
The video that you shared when you were on a train, I forget where you were, but it was the packed train and there were people selling cooked fish on the train. I watched, where was it?
Why bring up a traumatic experience?
I watched that video and I was like, not that I ever thought I was going to do this, but I could never. That had to be the most challenging part of this trip.
Was the most mentally difficult 10 hours of the journey, yes.
10 hours?
That was really, I think 2 hours passed and I looked at my watch. I thought, oh, we're gonna almost arrive now. And I looked and it's just 2 hours. I'm like, oh my God.
Now,
Another 8 hours to go.
For people who haven't watched that video, where were you? Where did you start that journey and where were you going on this long train ride?
So I started that journey from a very secluded area in Uzbekistan. It's a province there. They're actually separate and they want to separate from Uzbekistan. But anyway, it's from a very secluded area in Uzbekistan. It's desert. It's just desert. And I was crossing from there to Kazakhstan, which is also a desert part of Kazakhstan. So it's just a desert crossing with the train. The atmosphere, the nature around you, just the place is extremely unhospitable. There are no towns or cities in that area just because how hospitable it is. It's extremely hot and the train barely had any windows open, no AC. Train was packed, so all kinds of smells.
I can't.
Well, yeah, if there's if you're putting hundreds of smelly people from the
Sweaty.
desert, like sweaty because not smelly, but smelly because
then
they're sweaty,
going to
on a train, packing it, no air conditioning, and then people have their own food, and people were walking around selling like cooked fish, right?
People got their own food, heating it up, so all kinds of those smells. Then people passing with what looks like rotten fish, and it's just open. It's not in any packaging. They're just holding it like that, and it's not when nobody buys them. It's not like they're okay. No buyers here. They come back and forth. They keep going back and forth
Until it's
Come
sold.
on, 30 months. Get the message.
Well, I hope that stays the worst part of your trip,
Yes.
and that nothing else
I
becomes worse
I
than
hope
that.
so.
We do have a question from the chat that I think is actually a very interesting question for people traveling the world. There's two of them. First, you're doing everything on your mobile phone, right?
Yes, everything. I don't have a laptop or anything, just my phone.
Android or Apple?
Oh, jeez.
Google Pixel.
Yes.
Android.
That's it.
Team Android, yes.
And then what do you do? Because obviously in a lot of different countries, there are different outlets and things like that. Because you're in Asia, is everyone using the same outlet?
So far, it has been the same.
Oh, wow.
Yes, actually. But I think that will change as soon as I enter China.
And
And-
the outlets that you're using now, is it the same ones that you would used at home in Egypt?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I need to know though, how much have you packed? Like, what
Oh, yeah.
is with you, and how? Like, it doesn't look like you have too much when you're, doing your videos.
It's not too much. Considering the time period that I'm traveling, it's not too much.
I'm more than
I
a year.
think-
Yeah.
I don't know in pounds. I cannot translate from
Oh.
kilograms, but it's about 12 kilograms, which is what you would have maybe on a carry-on on
Okay.
a flight.
And how do
Let's say.
I mean, the places you're staying, because I noticed that you stayed a lot of hostels while you're traveling
Mhm.
around of most of Asia. Are you able to do your laundry in each place that you stop? How does that work?
Not in every place.
Okay.
So when there's a nice place, let's say, where they have a laundry service kind of thing, then I take the opportunity, and then because I don't know when again it will come up.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes minimal. Sometimes I would wash them hiking in Afghanistan, and we washed a bit in the river.
Oh, wow.
So you adapt kind of and see depending on where you are.
So what is next? Like, which country are you going to next? Because it looks like I have a little map in front of me here. It looks like you can go right to China, but I know you are wanting to see other things. So are you going somewhere else first?
I saw your episode of when you were trying to guess.
I was like, no way.
So initial plan, as I mentioned, zigzagging as much as possible.
Yes.
Initial plan was to get from Kazakhstan all the way down to India. Actually, that's
Oh,
a
wow.
big detour.
Yeah.
However, just recently doing more research, I found that it's a dead end in terms of overlanding. From India, you cannot really go east or even northeast from there,
Okay.
because from India to China you cannot cross. To the east, you cannot cross Myanmar because of their military regime. They won't allow you to cross overland. And then Tibet is the third option, which you need very special like permissions and things like that, which will be very difficult to do on my own. It needs to be a big group. So it's a dead end. So unfortunately, my route now changed to a more direct one. So from Kazakhstan, after I will visit Kyrgyzstan, then Tajikistan, so a bit going south,
Okay, yep.
and then
I see that.
and then head east from there. So
Okay.
crossing China, and taking a ferry after to South Korea, then another one to Japan.
So
hopefully.
it looks like China's going to take you a long time to get through.
China is, I think, just because of visa stuff,
Oh.
discovered while on the road that to get the China visa, I have to do it from my home country, which I did not do in
Oh,
Egypt.
no.
So this is for a longer stay. So I'm only allowed 15 days in China.
That's a big country.
I think I will have to skip. I think I will have to take a long trains to cross.
Now,
Wow.
there's a question I think a lot of people have on their minds, right? Because so many of us would love to just pick up and travel around the world. And you said you've already done this through South America, right?
Yes, Latin America for a year. Yeah, I did.
How do you finance yourself to do all of this? How do you keep going? Do you save up a lot of money before you travel and then and use it all while you're gone and then kind of rinse and repeat?
Yeah, so there's two parts to this equation. First, I saved as much as possible. I had a good job in Europe, and I saved as much as possible by living extremely cheap.
Okay.
Even though I was getting promoted, I think 3-4 times,
Wow.
I maintained my living standard as a student. I did not upgrade
Okay.
my living
And
standard.
is it because you
So
knew
I
you
saved-
wanted to do this?
Yes,
Okay.
it was always in my mind to do this
Okay.
before, let's say, settling down, starting a family, that phase of life.
Okay.
So I saved as much as possible from that. And the other side of the equation is that I travel really cheaply also. So I would hitchhike, I would stay in hostels, sometimes I would camp. Yeah, traveling as cheaply as possible. So
Well, I
those
imagine
two
that.
parts.
Sorry, I imagine that a lot of the train rides and things that you're doing are way cheaper than just one flight. Like when you look at the cost of a flight versus all these train rides, it's got to be much cheaper.
I think to get to Japan, the overland cost would be higher for
Yeah,
sure.
of course. The total trip you're saying. Yeah, of
well,
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the total for sure.
And
But in terms of yeah, go ahead.
no, continue. Sorry.
In terms of the amount of places you see, comparing that to the total transport cost, it's a good rate, let's say.
Okay.
Now we have Augie, who is joining us from the Netherlands, and he wants to know which passport you're using to do all this travel. Is it a European passport? Is it an Egyptian passport?
Yes, I have 2 passports. So I'm Egyptian, that I have the Egyptian passport, but my grandmother is German, which then I have the German passport as well.
Gotcha. So you have one
So I use
European and one Egyptian. Now, I want to let you go because I know you have a lot of things you want to see, and it's evening time now in Kazakhstan, so you probably have to eat and get some rest. But what have you learned about yourself? There's 2 questions. What have you learned about yourself as you've done this journey so far through Asia, and what have you learned about the places you've seen?
That's a loaded one.
Yeah.
What I've learned about myself, I think how adaptable and maybe how flexible I am, not just in terms of the circumstances I'm in, but also dealing with different kinds of people. Because so far, I have been positively surprised about myself. I think I expected that, but I was happy to confirm it kind of, that I can socialize with different people, different cultures,
That's awesome.
and have them, be friendly to me and, make friends, even with language barriers. I think I learned that more and more about
awesome.
myself. And about the places I've been, to be honest, this region of the world, the most hospitable I have seen anywhere in the world. Like, it's not only Iran. I know I gave that example.
Yeah.
But all the countries after Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, all these countries, the hospitality is like a code in their culture. It's like they have to abide by it almost, even if it's
Well,
the level of hospitality is unparalleled.
What I've learned from watching you, and I think this is why you doing what you're doing and sharing it with the world is so important, is you've traveled through some places where we hear about the regime in charge, right? Whether it's Iran, whether it's Afghanistan, all we hear about is the regime in charge and the people in power playing their political games at our expense. And I think what you're opening up to the world, especially traveling through these Central Asian countries that not a lot of people are familiar with, is they're great people there too, right? There are great people in every single country you're going to go to. There are terrible people in every country you're going to go to, but the majority of us are kind and hospitable. And regardless of what your religion is or your political standing or whatever, people just want to be friendly with one another. And I think you're doing a great job of showing that on a global scale. I know on Instagram now, I think when I started following you, you had like 190,000 followers or something. And now you're at what, 350, almost 350,000 followers?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're doing is really, really
That's
cool.
impressive.
And I do know you have there's one company that's helping you, right? With like your eSIM card.
That was a one-time thing
Oh,
that
it was,
just
okay.
popped. Yeah, an eSIM card. Yeah. It really helped, to be honest, because it helps me as well. They gave me the global eSIM package, so it helps me, and I don't have to do all that offline stuff. I didn't use SIMs before, by the way, or eSIMs.
So you're just using Wi-Fi for a long time.
I had to do all these offline versions of Translate and
sense.
Maps, and now now I can.
Now,
That's
on the
good.
bottom of our screen, you'll see Omar's Instagram and his TikTok. And I know you also have a link where people can actually like donate and send you some things to help you along your journey, right?
Yes, it's also on my Instagram. I have
Okay.
been also honestly overwhelmed. This journey started as a personal challenge, but I think over recent times it transformed into a lot more, which I did not expect. People are like the kinds of messages people are sending me about educational, like a mom would show my videos to her kids to
That's
learn
great.
about the world, and
That's
someone
so cool.
going through depression or a hard time and telling me my videos are helping them through that period. It's really touching to me, and the amount of people donating as to what you mentioned on the link just shows how much support, and really a bit overwhelmed by that. It's more than I expected, definitely.
Well,
That
you're
is really
doing
cool.
amazing things. And I want to read you this message we got from Sweetie. It's by V in our chat. It says, amazing. I love listening to a story. I think we forgot not all humans suck.
Yes.
You know, and that's the moral of the story. So many people have helped you out along your journey, and you're helping everyone out by sharing it. So thank you very
Yes.
much for spending some of your evening with us, even though it's morning here.
Oh yeah, I just got so confused. Like, why'd you say that?
In Seattle. We appreciate you, and I can't wait to see the rest of your trip.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Enjoy Japan and Costa Rica, I
Oh
heard.
yeah.
Thank
Oh yeah.
you.
Next journey, we need you to come to America and do all 50 states.
Well,
So
we'll find a way to meet up.
okay.
Perfect. All right, Omar.
I have in mind the cross US kind of journey. That's
Perfect.
cool.
Omar, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
You too.
That was
Ciao.
awesome. That was awesome. What a nice guy.
The best.
We also, by the way, we have our second pair of guests who are now arriving. And what we'll do is we are going to take our quick break.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who are subscribed to the channel, you'll see a word game pop on the screen. For those of you who aren't, it's going to be a couple ads. We'll be back with...
I almost said the Friday show. That's where my head went to do the podcast. We have Kwame and Marshall here.
From Love is Blind Season 4, 3 of us, not Carla Marie, are going to be participating in the Champions of Change basketball game here in Seattle.
Surprise, maybe I am.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk to them about their journey as well. Thanks for hanging. We'll be right back. phones and let's introduce our guests here. Carla Marie, would
Yes.
you like to do the honors?
We have Kwame and Marshall. They are from season 4 of Love is Blind, but they have done way more since then. But that is how we originally met you guys. So unfortunately, we have to start there. And I say unfortunately, I mean, your situation worked out great. Marshall.
Well, no. It's not that it didn't work out great. Everything
met
worked
each
the
other.
way
Yeah.
it's supposed to work,
That's
right?
true.
Like you met your person eventually,
Yep.
just not on that show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you guys were on the Seattle season, and we originally met at an event for Netflix. To be honest, I actually think I was wearing the same jacket. I just realized. 'cause
I
posted
don't remember it, so you're good.
I just realized when I was looking at the photos yesterday, so that's embarrassing. But
Every
yes.
time I think of that, I think of that meme with Will Smith that he's doing this thing. It's like
yeah.
when
Yeah.
people ask me if I just wore that shirt, it's like a washing machine. It's all right. You're gonna be fine.
Yes. And then I don't even remember. Oh, we met at the Champions of Change Gala last year. So you guys have a lot to talk about when it comes to basketball. We'll get into that. But so many people love you guys. I feel like more than the cast of any other season. And I don't know if that's because I know you guys and I catch it more. But I think that season people just were so drawn to all of you. Do you feel that as well? Do you feel like you still have people that support or just like want to know all about your lives now? And it's been how long? More than 2 years?
Well, it's
Is
been
it
like a
two? I
year
don't
and some
even know.
change.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think that it just speaks to our relatability.
Yeah.
You know, we present exactly like who we are
Yeah.
in front of you guys. And so that really showed on the screen. And that's why people kind of cling to us, is because we're one of them and they're one of us. Whereas the other seasons, it's like, I don't know if I can hang with that person in real life.
Well, I also felt like
Fair.
you guys, not only are you relatable, but I felt like watching the handful of episodes I did watch of Love is Blind, you are rational humans, right? Like, and which is an anomaly on reality TV.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
rational. Like when arguments pop up, I believe there was an episode I watched where you were in an argument with, I'm terrible with names,
It's okay.
but
It doesn't matter.
whoever it was.
It's like Voldemort. We don't even
and-
say it.
Yeah.
See who shall remain nameless.
Yeah, but it was like there was no over-the-top reaction. It was just like,
Yeah.
all right, well, let's
Well,
talk
hold
for a
on.
second.
Let's talk about the facial expressions.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are those.
Yeah.
But that just happens naturally.
Yeah.
Did you kind of, you did go viral for the facial expressions that you made during the reunion show, and it's since happened anytime
Yeah.
you do anything.
Yeah.
Did your family always know that about you growing up, or did you know that about yourself, or it wasn't until that?
That I use my face to express
Well,
my
no,
emotions.
that it was just like,
Was that a big thing about?
yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, that's just something that, I mean,
They
my cousin Justin, who's
Yes.
on The Bachelorette, that's how we express ourselves.
When it came out
So-
that you guys were cousins, I was like, everything makes sense
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
The facial
yeah,
expressions.
Yeah, that's
But-
just who we are. So my family was like, oh, that's Marshall. And just like I was when I was watching Justin season, that's Justin.
I
And
love
so
that.
this guy needed to go famous, go viral for his reactions, because what you guys didn't see
Oh,
was
yes.
when I was making those faces, I was looking at this guy, and we
Funny.
were exchanging looks back and forth, and it was pretty funny. So
Yeah, we definitely had a good time with that reunion, I would say.
Yeah.
It was that was probably the most drama centric moment of the whole season, you know.
That makes sense.
Is that the episode that like didn't start for 4 hours or something?
Yeah.
Was that was that one, right?
But
Yeah.
you know, we now know that we are the only reality TV show to ever break Netflix.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You know what? It's an accomplishment.
Damn.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Good
See,
job, guys.
All you need to do is have us there for the live stream. Look how seamless everything
there we
is.
go.
Don't jinx
There we
it.
go.
Don't jinx anything. Okay, so let's talk about Champions of Change, because
Yes.
that is important. That is why you guys are here. Next Friday. What's
Not this
Monday.
Friday, the following Friday.
Yeah. You guys are all playing in do we call it a celebrity basketball tournament?
Let's call it a charity basketball.
Charity
game.
A charity basketball tournament with people who have followings from Seattle.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
But you're on opposite teams. Is that true?
That is
Yeah,
true.
we are.
Yeah, we asked
Yeah.
for that purposely.
Okay, I love that. We don't know what team you're on yet.
Well, yeah,
we
I
think
think
you got cut.
I may have been cut because when they released like the rosters, my name wasn't on it. But they also posted that I'm playing, so I have no idea what's going on. But you guys got to play last year. Obviously, I had my torn Achilles. What is it like playing a sport with professionals in that sport? Like you guys, I mean, Isaiah Thomas was on the court.
Yeah.
Jamal Crawford was on the court.
Yeah.
Was it intimidating stepping on a court with them?
Well, this guy's a pro athlete.
Yeah.
So he's
yeah,
used to
it's
it.
also
But of a
soccer.
different type. Yeah,
Yeah.
a different
True.
type.
Very
I mean,
true.
I think one, it was it was really cool to step on this court with like people that you idolize. You know what I mean? And there's like obviously a big degree of separation. So I think that helped calm me down in the sense of like, I'm not supposed to be that good.
You're not expecting.
Like it's not your job to carry the
yeah,
team.
it's not my job. You know what I'm saying? And it worked out well. Jamal Crawford ended up hitting some game tying and game winning shots. So that was great. But it was cool. I think the aura was great having like everybody put together on that court because I feel like it just alleviated the pressure of like, I got to do something. I'm just going to have fun.
They also did a good job of putting you guys on the court around the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you guys could just worry about one another. I don't know who they would have me match up against. Right, because I don't think there's any other podcasters or radio personalities that are playing.
They could make this really.
Adam Ray.
Oh yeah,
Adam
that's
Ray.
true.
Oh, he's a comedian, right?
Yeah.
They could make this really interesting and get some Seattle radio people that
Ooh,
are
yeah.
enemies and put them on the other team.
Let's get G. Scott to suit up.
Oh, yeah, not a chance. G. Scott's gonna, but that would be awesome.
G. Scott's too fresh to play. Like he's
Yeah.
too well put together to get out there and to get dirty. But it's going to be a lot of fun. If you want tickets, June 28th, and I know Claire has been putting the link in there. All you have to do is put !tickets in the chat, and the link will pop up. And that link that you get, actually, just so you know, is a buy one, get one code. So save a couple bucks as well. Let's go back. You guys, your lives obviously take a turn when you get on this show. Right? Because now people know who you are. You go into bars or restaurants, people recognize you. You are married when the show is over or engaged when the show... Married, right?
Married when the show is over.
When the show is over.
Yeah.
But Marshall, the show hadn't aired yet, and you had already started dating the woman that you're now engaged to be married to, right?
Yes.
Was it weird watching the
Oh,
show while dating someone who's not on the show? Like, that's got to be weird.
Yeah. Very much. Very much. It was an interesting test.
Yeah.
I will say that. Because
By the way, Shay is incredible. She's awesome.
We love her.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes, she is. Yes, so I tried to prepare her as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're going to see. This is what I said. This is what she said. This is what people have said. And this is arguably the hardest thing we're going to go through.
Like right off the bat.
Yeah. And she took it incredibly well in the beginning.
Okay.
And then that's when the internet stepped in.
Yeah.
And they started talking and tagging and shipping other women like from previous seasons.
Yeah, that's tough.
And she's just seeing all of that. And
That's
it's just
hard.
Like, oh my God, what am I doing? And
Yeah, because
then-
if you see people on the internet like, oh my God, I love Marshall with so-and-so, but you're like, that's got to be weird.
Yeah.
It's
Because,
just not a normal way to be in a relationship.
Right.
No one's prepared. There's no blueprint for how to deal with this.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
I gotta step in because there was a moment where they were shipping Marshall and Chelsea.
Oh.
Yes. I actually remember that. Yeah.
And
No,
like, do you guys have a conversation like, hey?
I don't think we did.
No, we never had to.
I mean, because
You
we
know.
knew.
You know.
Yeah, we just
yeah.
like I mean, while it's going on, nobody really knows the end results. You know what I mean? So everybody's like, I remember going to
That's true.
the final day and getting so many like messages and comments like, we know you said no. We said like, and it was so crazy leading up to it because I was like, dang, I'm like sitting here watching this with my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just taking that piece of like anonymity because you have to keep that separate. You know, Kwame and Chelsea obviously were together. They are watching that as it happens together.
Yeah.
Shay and I is like, oh, I don't really know what to do because I can't really claim you right now.
Yeah, that's true. You couldn't, and that I
yeah.
didn't even think of that. You couldn't go to bat for her and be like,
Yeah.
no, this is my
Yeah.
person, because you
Mhm.
can't.
Yeah. And then it started to leak. Like the December before, I was working at Nintendo, and so we did our Christmas party at the Mopop, and it leaked because we took pictures together. And so it leaked on like Reddit.
As normal couples do.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And so it leaked on Reddit, and that was a big thing for her because she didn't know if she necessarily wanted to be public facing yet.
Right.
And so that really thrust her into the spotlight. She's getting Instagram DMs. She's getting all these followers and comments and people going through her stuff and liking stuff she posted 2 years ago.
Yeah, analyzing.
Yeah, yeah.
People
And
are
so
like, get it life.
yeah, and that really that put us on kind of like a tumultuous journey because of that, because she's a very private person. And so I'm the one that chose to do this.
Yeah.
And we just happen to be together. And now she has to subject herself to that because she's with me, which is not cool.
Did you ever say to her at any point, like when things were getting rough, like, listen, I know this is hard. If you want to be done with this, I get it. Did that ever,
like,
ever
no,
get to that?
Don't let her watch this.
Yeah, no, she.
Well, no, now there's a ring on it. It's fine.
Yeah, no, she was stuck with me.
Okay.
I think there was a brief period in time where I was like, let me test the waters and see what's out there. But it was natural, you know, like there's all this attention.
Your life changed so
much.
much.
Life changed so quickly, and that confuses somebody. Even
my
if,
God, yeah.
like
100%.
the strongest of couples who would go through that, and that would still test you because one person or the other would be like, well, there's this celebrity in my
Yeah.
ear.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what
It's
I mean?
so hard. Like there's a very small group of people, even with all of the reality dating shows that we have today. It's still a very small percentage of humans who have gone through what you guys have gone through, and to come out of that and be like, when I left, my life wasn't like this, and now it's just it's flipped upside down for better or worse, and now you have to navigate with really no guidance. There's no like, is there a support group for people that have been on dating shows? I don't know.
Is there a Discord chat for people?
There 100% should be.
Yeah.
Now, and keep in mind, Kwame and Marshall are here because we are all going to be participating in the Champions of Change basketball game. Yeah. We all will be participating. Carla Marie will be there, though.
We'll be there.
June
She
28th.
might shoot a jump shot or two.
Maybe.
She was on the court warming up the first time.
Yeah.
Last year, I was there, and someone before the game threw a basketball so hard at my face.
Oh,
Not on
okay.
purpose.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, I don't think. I think they just missed the net by a lot.
Yeah.
I have no idea who it was.
It was probably
It probably was.
probably was.
It hurt so bad. I was like, I'm leaving this court. You're on your own to take photos.
Total accident.
And that's when I
Total
said the
accident.
WAG life is for me. I'm going to be hanging, drinking wine, wives and girlfriends. That's all.
There you go.
But Kwame, you got on the show, right? And I guess in terms of show parameters, like you succeeded or won or whatever, right?
Yeah.
How different was life? Because when you're on a show and there's cameras and there's situations that are presented to you in a relationship, things might seem perfect all the time. And I know the show's not, shot for shot like The Bachelor, but I always think of The Bachelor, like these people are meeting in the most romantic settings and being, jet setting across the world. And then you get to regular life.
Yeah.
Was that a weird transition?
Yeah, that was that was a tough transition. Especially because while you're going through the filming of this, like most of your outside life is set aside. We didn't know about like work. We didn't know about a dog. We didn't know about like
Rocky.
we didn't know about bills, like anything of that. We were in this
Bubble.
perfect bubble.
Yeah.
It felt like this like hyperbolic time chamber where just like everything was going at a pace in which you set it.
Yeah.
Right. And so once we got back to regular life, it definitely was a bit of a tougher transition, right? Because like I work a lot. I work in tech. I work in sales. And so I have, obviously I can set my own hours in a way, but like I have a heavy task load.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so we're spending less time together at that point. And Chelsea was also working. She was a speech pathologist at a clinic. And so she was there for a majority of it. So if we like both get home and we don't have any crossover, and I'm with the dog all day, and then she comes back and then she wants to be with the dog a little bit. And then so it's just like the transition was definitely heavier than we expected.
Yeah.
You go from no distractions to all the distractions.
All the distractions
like overnight.
That, it's a snap of a finger. So that's the hardest adjustment. We always say to each other, like, the experiment of Love is Blind doesn't end when the cameras leave. You know what I mean? It almost begins when the cameras leave, right? Because in that time chamber, everything is set up the way that you want it. You almost get everything at your beck and call, it feels like. And then once it's gone and you got to go back to real life, that's when the real test begins. Like, can we see this through?
What was the most difficult part? Was there a point where you were like, maybe this isn't going to work in the real world?
Yeah, I think when it came down to just like figuring out what, I mentioned this on the show a lot, and it was just like, you can call it sacrifices, you can call it compromises, whatever the case may be. We both had very specific lifestyles. For me, I used to just, Seattle's a rainy place. right? So whenever I would see a drop of rain and no rainy season was coming around, I'd move to Mexico.
Yeah.
Like that was my thing. And I worked in tech. I worked remote. I was set. I had my own thing. I could just fly down anytime. And then we got married. All of a sudden, my wife has a dog. She has a in-office gig. And obviously, like, there's a whole other a lot of factors as well.
You can't say,
so
I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Peace
saying?
out, wifey. Going to Mexico.
So just I would say like big like lifestyle differences were definitely the hardest thing to put together. I think we've married it, no pun intended, in a really good way. I think as time has gone on, but for that first year, it is really difficult trying to figure out like, what am I giving up that doesn't, makes me happy or, makes it harder for me, things like that.
Well, now you guys just bought a house, so
Yes.
congrats.
Thank
Fully
you.
domesticated.
Yeah.
Fully domesticated, yes.
I love it.
Rain from Washington is asking for Champions of Change, because last year we had our audience buy tickets in a specific section. And Rain is asking if there's a specific section. This year, we've been telling people, at least for our audience, section 17 and 16. I believe 16 may have sold out already.
Okay.
So section 17, 16, that's where we're telling people to go. Are you guys training or practicing more for this basketball game? Because it's in a week and a half, right?
Well, I'll tell you this much.
Uh-oh.
Last year was not a good display of basketball on my part.
No, it was not.
I went 0 for 3
Okay.
Oh, I didn't
and
know.
3 air balls.
Was
And
it
then-
air
and
balls?
then-
I think I may have blocked out 2 of them on
Yeah.
your behalf.
Oh, yeah, no. And then the second time I got in the game, I definitely was cramping everywhere.
Oh, no.
I just was not prepared.
You're not
Okay.
drinking water? Orange? Do you need me to bring
so
you some
that's the
orange
thing.
slices this year?
That would be great.
Okay.
I thought that I was doing what I needed to do. I mean, I had that but last year I was 27 and I was like, oh, I'm just going to get out there and just do my thing. Cause I've always been like a hooper.
Yeah.
I just play whenever, pick up whatever.
But not against
says
WNBA
otherwise.
and
Says
NBA players.
Yeah.
Well, so look, I'm not a hooper. I like to play.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
And so I would get out there and just run however many games,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. And so I thought, well, why not? I'll just get out there and just do my thing. And so I had to think that mindset of like, I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna score.
Yeah.
No, I'd rather just go out there and have fun
Yeah.
because I let the other real hoopers do their thing
Yeah.
and let
The
them win the game.
professionals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be the pawn. I'll do my part. I'll play defense, whatever. If I need to score, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Last year I did not do that.
Well,
And so
by the way, Claire in our chat just said I wasn't going to mention the air balls.
Oh,
She was there.
Claire.
But you did. So
Yeah.
she remembers them.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I think nerves also got the best
Of
of me
course.
as well.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
imagine.
I didn't even listen. I didn't play, right? But I was on the court before the game with my stupid little peg leg thing hobbling around, right? And I was taking some practice shots. And I remember looking up and like, this is a professional arena.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like
the
one of the
Seattle
best
Storm
basketball,
played-
one
yeah.
of the best female basketball players of all time
Yeah.
called this home for like 20 seasons
Yeah.
almost, you know?
Yeah.
It's so you get out there and it's you got all the seats, it's all the lights. Like it is a game production.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a high school gym
Yeah.
where you're just going and messing
Yeah.
around. This isn't LA Fitness in Ballard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's-
So you've been training this year.
Not necessarily training, but
Shooting?
I've definitely been a lot more active than I was
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
And so I've been doing a lot of running, a lot of
Well,
conditioning, but just for my own personal benefit. This is before I knew that we were going to
Okay.
get picked up to play the game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I actually might get out there and not cramp this
Not
time.
cramp,
And I
okay.
might draw rim this time.
We're gonna be texting you every day. Did you drink your allotted amount of water today? You gotta start a week in
Yes.
advance.
Yeah.
Kwame,
Yeah.
what about you?
So I'm actually, it's funny. I'm in the swing of things. I play soccer about 3 or 4
Yeah.
times a
Here we
week.
go.
So I do get that, but I will say I have not been playing basketball nearly as much as I should. Mostly because I have other things that are coming up that I really need to focus for. I'm
Okay.
doing the KPMG Pro-Am golf
Oh wow,
tournament.
What?
Yeah,
that's
that's
something you should probably focus on.
I should probably focus on. I'm
Yeah.
very scared to hit someone with
Do you
the ball.
play golf?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay. I'm good enough to like put it in a certain direction. You know, we just went to Top Golf the other day. Marshall just got absolutely snuffed, by the way.
And so did you by Shay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I remember that. And for the record, I think you put up the poll, right? Who's gonna do better,
It was
or you
me.
did?
It was me.
I did vote for Shay.
And she won.
I did. So
Yeah,
I don't
you
know what I
know.
get for that. Maybe maybe just take it easy on me on defense
Yeah.
when we're playing next week.
And let's just keep it within the parameters of people who are in the studio.
There we go.
Moving the goalpost a little bit.
But yeah, I mean,
That's cool.
So I play that tomorrow. So I've been like deadly focused on. Yeah, I know. I've been very focused on that, trying to make sure I can get my ball straight on a golf course. Sahali.
It's here in Washington.
It's somewhere in Washington. And so once that's done, then I'll kind of reshift my focus to basketball. But I will say I'm trying to get my fitness in at least. You know what I'm saying? Because I had decent stats last year. You know what I mean? Like they weren't.
Didn't you
terrible.
take someone out at some point?
No. Doug Baldwin took me out. Okay,
that's what it was.
Decent stats. You had 2 more points than I did, and I had 0.
Hey, Marshall. I had 3 more points than you.
Oh, okay.
He had as many points as you had air balls.
There we go. I think the one thing that we both can agree on is that the coaches take the game a little too seriously. And so Gary Payton, legend.
Yeah.
Love you, dog. But let other people play. Don't let just the hoopers play.
No,
they did keep a lot of pros in there.
But when you're in an like you said, right? We're not in some high school gym. Mm-hmm. When you see the atmosphere, I feel like it has to consume you in some way. And Gary's like, oh, this feels familiar.
He's like, I'm not losing.
Exactly.
We're gonna win.
I think something like the light bulb goes off, right? Because he used to play in that arena, a different name, but he used to play there.
Oh yeah.
And that the crowd is there.
Yeah.
The lights are on. He probably it's like a time warp for him. It's like,
for
that's
sure.
it.
For sure.
That's Jordan the Bulls across the way, and I'm gonna smoke him.
For sure.
Like that's it.
For sure.
I wonder.
But it's certainly not Jordan in the Bulls.
Could be. Could be. Maybe I catch a heater. I hit 3 in a row.
I don't really know.
NBA jams. Do you think Gary could still get out? He probably could, right?
Yeah, he could probably cook up a lot of people. I mean, you realize the level and degree. So last year for me, and this is why I have so much respect for women's sports, because anyone can talk any kind of junk that they want to. But I remember, I forget her name. There was a high schooler out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She was going into her
cooking.
senior season. I was going, and this is the thing. I actually went to states for basketball in high school. So I'm decent, right? Like I was a great, at least defensive player. I was getting cooked.
This girl,
she was cooking me.
I forgot what her name was too, but she was getting like a full ride somewhere
full ride
that
to
next
Oregon.
year
She's
to
going
Oregon.
to
That's what it was.
Yep.
So she was probably a freshman on the Oregon team this year.
No. So she was a rising senior.
Jeez.
Yeah. So she was about to become a senior.
She was like 16 years old.
She was 16,
cooking dudes,
giving me buckets.
Yeah.
All right. And so I mean, that's it speaks to the level of people who really know the game and are far in advance beyond, which is why I think Gary could just get up there and just cook, because he just has that foundation that once you get to a certain degree, you're just better than everyone around you, no matter how old you are.
Well, I hope she's back this year.
I hope she is too.
Yeah, she is.
You know who impressed me last year was Cameron Brink. I think she ended up winning the MVP for the game or something.
Co-MVP with Jamal.
Was it? Okay,
Yes.
that makes sense. Jamal Crawford also, watching him on the court, he could still probably play in the NBA today.
Yeah, he probably could.
But Cameron Brink impressed the hell out of me, so much so that we were on the same team last year. We were on the same bench.
Mm-hmm.
The pros that were getting off the court were talking to themselves about how good Cameron Brink was.
Yeah.
They're she was going into Richard Sherman, just saying I'm going to go right at you and score.
And cooking him.
It's crazy.
I'm excited. I didn't really pay much attention last year because you weren't playing. So I was just having fun with my friends, drinking wine.
You're just saying that.
I'll be honest. I don't really know what was happening half the time. But this year I'll pay attention.
Okay.
Hopefully
Now,
you play.
What is what's on the horizon for you guys? How do you get back to a regular life after doing a show like that?
Ooh. Well, I think first step is to realize that being a reality TV star on a non-recurring show,
right?
You got a shelf life, and there's a point where you're still going to be recognizable. People are going to be like, "Oh, cool, that's so and so."
But there's a whole new cast. There's a whole new crew.
And then you kind of fade into the background. So you've got to kind of assimilate back into regular life somehow. And so for me, I've got back to work. I mean, I never stopped working, but I just kind of transition into consulting now. So I'm doing influencer marketing consulting.
So
and
smart.
Just since I'm an influencer now, why not use my background as a social media marketer to apply that to some brands and get some contracts? And so that's what I've been doing.
And now you know how both of those sides work. And now you can kind of more seamlessly kind of put them together.
Exactly. And so that is I'm opening that lane for myself, and things are going great. Definitely still trying to figure out what kind of influencer I want to be, what kind of content that I want to make that speaks to me, not just to the masses. And going from there.
It's awesome. Well, you just launched a podcast with.
I did.
So you're working with Later.
I'm working with Later.
I have used that company so much over. I mean, ever since just really with social media, they have the best advice and tips for doing anything when it comes to Instagram. I feel like the average person may not know what I'm talking about, but they're the best. They're not Latergram. Latergram is what they used to be.
Yeah, just Later now. And they were two separate companies, Maverick and Later. Maverick acquired Later and then actually rebranded as Later because Later has better brand recognition. So I'm heading up the influencer experience and engagement side of the company. And like, it's my goal to really just like bring together brand and influencer for just like a solid understanding, right? Because like you said, you've used Later for goodness knows how long. But we've given tips, but we've never really communicated with you on how we can make it better. We've never brought you into events to, talk with the brands that you're in some way could connect with. Cause the Maverick side is the influencer marketing side of the company. And so obviously there's a lot of companies that partner with influencers through the platform. And so we're bringing it all together: social media scheduling, influencer management, brands, and then influencers as well. So I'm really fortunate. I get to be on this really cool podcast called Beyond Influence with my CEO as a co-host,
So cool.
Scott. So yeah, it's dope.
So, and people can listen to that wherever they get their podcasts.
Wherever you get your podcast, just type in Beyond Influence. We're also on YouTube, so a bunch of different places. But I think, apart from that, like Marshall was saying, big amount of just like stabilizing. I think when things happen, it takes off in such a big way. And then you have to normalize after that. And so figure out like where you take your path. And I think in some way trying to find some normalcy in life, it really does help, especially with like mental health and just like figuring out the ways to just like, go by your day to day. So I think getting back into a role, I started 8 months ago now. That's been really good for me because I did do influencing full time for quite some time and give that a shot. But honestly, I do like having something a bit more stable to focus on. So a bit of this, a bit of that comes together to make a whole lot of life.
Well, I'm glad that you guys stayed in Seattle and didn't move to the influencer capitals of San Diego or Nashville. I'm happy that you guys stayed with us. And I know the city's happy to have you here because you guys are at like every single event. You're doing stuff with the Seahawks, you do stuff with the Mariners. Like, it's great having you guys here. And much like us, you guys weren't from Seattle originally, but we all now call this place home. And we all have kind of, done our best to make ourselves part of the fabric of Seattle. Again, those tickets for Champions of Change, June 28th. I think Claire just put some links in there. Claire also put your podcast link and both of your Instagrams in there so people can follow along.
Well,
Shout out to
Producer Claire today.
Thank you.
Claire. That.
Also, I never your wedding band.
Oh, it's Batman.
I'm like, am I going crazy or is that Batman?
I thought you were pointing at me. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, so I'm actually, I like to throw on different outfits. I'm kind of a fashionista. So I have a bunch of different wedding bands.
Sorry,
The facial expression.
faces in real life. I forget that I'm reacting to the faces.
I try to keep it at bay, but it's just so hard.
This is what it's
Never
like.
get Botox, Marshall, please.
Some people wear their heart on their sleeve. Marshall wears his heart directly on his face.
Yeah, right. But I have, I think now maybe about 28 wedding bands, and so I kind of switched them out based off of what I'm wearing. So today we went with Batman.
Nice.
Yeah.
It is interesting coming from a non-Seattle background or the suburbs of Seattle. Did you guys find when you moved here, people just didn't put as much time into how they dress every day?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's kind of, especially because you're an East Coaster.
Yeah.
And
East Coast,
right? Like
DC.
Yeah.
That's why I got the hat on.
It's
today.
crazy.
I had to remind y'all.
Oh, yeah, DC United. It was weird. Like we used to host a club gig when we first moved out here and we're on the radio. And I remember dressing like I was going to like a New York City club or lounge.
Yeah.
I had my shoes on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I came out, I got to the club getting people wearing flip-flops.
I was like, I got rid of all
like,
my
what's going on
heels.
here?
Though for me, it was like great. I was like, I can just wear sneakers everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like, all right, maybe I should start dressing a little nicer. But it is very nice to not have the pressure of like, as a female, to have to wear a dress and heels everywhere you go. But yeah, the vibe here is just, I mean, super chill.
Yeah,
Pretty chill.
It took effort to actually like put on jeans today. I was gonna put on my sweats, and I was like, oh hey, I'll pull up, and I was like, no, let me try to be a little bit more presentable.
Well, we appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
We really do. We're gonna let you guys get out of here.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, we'll have you guys back on the podcast
Oh, yes.
to go head to head again in either 2-second tunes or cover
Yeah,
lovers.
who won that?
I did.
You did. Okay, so you got
Yeah.
you got 3 points in the
Uh-huh.
game in basketball. You have
I've whooped his ass plenty of times. In many different things. Many different things. He has he
Let's
beat
hear
me
it.
at the Top Golf. Sure. Okay.
Let's hear it.
Okay, he got me at Top Golf. He got 3 points in the basketball game last year, but
More than him.
But I spanked him at the what was it? The Seattle KicksCon. There was a racing game there. He thinks he can beat me in racing games. I said, no, you can't. He tries to play me. We played 3 times. I beat him every single time.
We're very competitive.
You need to start
To say
keeping
the-
1 point for
Yes.
everything you've won for like life.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think so.
You know what? You know what? That's gonna be what we track via social media.
Yes.
It's gonna be
Yes.
Marshall versus Kwame.
Okay.
All
And just
right?
random things.
Random.
Like the most random. Like I
Okay.
want to see like
1
drunk
point.
darts. I want to
Oh,
see.
I'm down.
I want to
I'm
see
down.
all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Hula
so.
hooping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to give hula hooping if I was putting my money.
Why?
Have you seen him ride the bull? That's why. Matter of fact, Colin, go to your TikTok,
Yes.
Have I not seen
search
this video?
Kwame riding the bull, and he went viral several times
Wait,
during that
how did
season.
I miss this?
He went viral several times riding
Was
a
it
mechanical
a
bull.
mechanical bull. Okay,
Yes.
so not a real bull.
Gosh,
Yes.
You guys
yeah,
should
yeah.
try real bull riding and see.
Yeah.
what you-
Hell
we're
no.
gonna, we're gonna
Hell
stay away
no.
from that one.
Is it on
Yeah.
your Instagram or
Oh, no.
TikTok? I mean, sorry.
No, it's
it's
somewhere.
like
Yeah,
Oh.
it is. Yes, people are. Yeah,
Kwame.
Yeah.
bull
It's all in the
riding.
hips.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't
Right,
know.
I have to search it.
Yeah, I do.
You'll find it at some point. It's
There-
somewhere down there.
There have been other challenges that I have won. I can't think of them right now, but I just but
Because they didn't happen.
but I do think that the competitive spirit is alive.
I love it.
And if you want to see that in person, come to the game.
There
on
you go.
June 28th.
Yes,
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
Love that.
Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys for making time for us. We'll be back here tomorrow. Tuesday, we do the show Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, 11 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. And you can listen to the Morning Show podcast wherever you get your shows. Don't forget to follow these two fantastic gentlemen and the podcast one more time.
Beyond influence.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.